Hey, I'm Adrian H of Age and Great Life, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm speaking to you about Animal Reiki. Now, I do have another video specifically about Reiki itself, and I'll put the link in the comments below, as well as a blog that I wrote about Reiki, as well as Animal Reiki. But for today's recording, or for this recording, this is specifically about Animal Reiki. All right. So, first of all, contrary to popular belief, animals are a lot more susceptible to Reiki energy than actual human beings. And the reason for this is because animals, for the most part, are more in alignment as to who they are, as opposed to human beings. Now, the big difference usually between animal Reiki and human being Reiki is that when it comes to human beings, it's usually more preferable for the humans to come to see me in person, to come to my practice. Whereas the animals, for them, it's usually more preferable if you come to their location. And the reason why that is because a lot of times we don't think about it like this, but your animals, especially your domestic animals, they live mostly in a very secluded space. And that is a space which is usually your home, or where they are staying, and they are fully dependent on you for accommodation, for food, for love, for care, for all those type of things. And if it's a doggy, obviously a lot of times you're able to give your dog a walk. A lot of times people are not able to do that, for whatever reason, really. But what also happens is that your animal, because animals are very susceptible to absorbing energy. So, you go out of your life and you go to work and you go to socialize and you go do whatever it is that you do, but the animal usually stays within the vicinity of the home. And they absorb all your emotions and all your energies. So whether you're in a good mood, you're in a bad mood, you're depressed, you're sad, you're unhappy, you're frustrated, you're angry, whatever may happen, your animals absorb that. And usually they will do their best to comfort you and to be there for you, but they don't always know exactly why it is the way that you feel, and they can only do the best that they can. But animals are like, they're like sponges, really. They sponge up energy, they sponge up emotions. So if you may not feel that wonderful, you may not feel that great, you're coming from work, you're exhausted, you're kind of irritated, they absorb that energy. And the wonderful thing, obviously, about having a pet is that you come home and they give you all this love, and they're just wonderful. I mean, you take dogs, for example. Dogs actually love you more. They love their human friends or owners more than they love themselves. So they absorb all that energy, and it can become quite challenging for your animal, to deal with that sort of thing. And so that's also why sometimes it's better to actually go into the vicinity of where they stay to give them a treatment, because not only as a Reiki practitioner, not only do I then assist the animal, but I also kind of cleanse the space itself, put positive energy into the space. Another one that works really beautifully, another option that works very beautifully for Animal Reiki, is distance healing, because time and space don't really exist. I've had beautiful successes before with distance healing. In fact, a larger portion of success with distance healing for animals as opposed to human beings, because animals don't have a kind of a set mindset to the outcome, and also what I would do, whether I do a session, in animal, a little joke, in person, in animal, whether I do a session in animal where I actually go to your location, to meet your animal there, or if it's a distance session, what I do is I first tap into my higher self, and then meet with the guides and the guardians and the angels and the the guardian angels of your animals, because obviously animals, human beings, plants, all life forms have guardians, have guides, have angels. So first connect with those, connect with the animal, actually ask them, are you open to this session, are you open to this healing? And it makes a big difference, because remember, there is still free will, and all living beings have free will. So it doesn't only count for animals, it counts for all living forms. And so you will as an animal Reiki practitioner, you will first connect with the soul of the animal, and communicate with the soul of the animal, and ask them, are you open to this healing? And then take it from there. And I think something that is really, really beautiful is also palliative care that you can give to animals, which is really just when they are at the end of their life. A lot of times animals don't want to let go. They really don't want to let go, because same as human beings are very concerned about what's going to happen to my loved ones once I am gone. The same way animals get very concerned about their loved ones as well. What's going to happen to my loved one once I am gone? Because you are important to them. And I think in the minds of a lot of animals, especially cats, they have got this thing that they think that they really, they've kind of got to think that they own you. But they're very concerned about you, because you form a very integral part of their lives. And so it can be very concerning for animals sometimes when it comes for them to cross over, if their owners are going to be okay. In the same sense, when you're when myself as a practitioner can't come to you, or you're not really open to distance healing for whatever reason, another beautiful way to do it is, because you are so connected to your animal, is to actually have a session where you have the Reiki session. So you actually come, in person to have the Reiki session, and then when you go home, that love and that kind of healing reflects outwards. Because remember, animals are a lot more sensitive to energies than human beings are. What we would probably call psychic ability is something that is just very normal and very natural to an animal. So if you go and have an actual Reiki session, you almost become like a conduit for the energy. You almost become like a surrogate for the energy for the animal. So a lot of times, I would recommend that both animal and human friend have a session, or if you want to make the focus, then you yourself as the human can actually come in and have the session, because a lot of times the stress that the animal experiences is because of us. And obviously that's no judgment, it's just true. And that doesn't make you a bad it doesn't mean that you're a bad pet owner, it doesn't mean that you're a bad carer, it just sometimes means that you don't know better. Because I think one of the biggest mistakes that human beings make is that we have animals that are not quite suited to our lifestyle and to our needs. Now, obviously, it does happen sometimes that an animal will come into your care, and you are helping this animal from the goodness of your heart. Maybe it's a rescue animal that you're adopting, or you're taking it from another person, or whatever the case may be. That if you don't take the animal, that it might actually suffer. So I mean, that's beautiful, and I commend you for that. That's an honorable, beautiful, wonderful thing that serves the greatest consciousness in amazing ways. But I think one of the things that we do sometimes, especially when we are lonely as human beings, is that we treat our animals like human beings. And of course, you want to love your animals, you want to give them the best from your heart, love and light, all those type of things. But the simple truth is that your animal is not a human being. And when you do sometimes treat them as humans, you could unknowingly be doing them a little bit of an injustice, because it becomes stressful to them, and they start to act up and to act in ways that is not quite dog like, cat like, bird like, fish like, whatever. Because animal reiki can be done for any animal, dogs, cats, rabbits, bunnies, hamsters, snakes, horses, wild animals, even, it can be done at shelters, even in pet shops, because I think a lot of something that also people don't realize a lot of times is that it is sometimes very stressful for an animal to be in a pet shop because you are handled by so many different people. So many people are coming around with their energies. People are tapping on the cages, tapping on the glass, and it can be a little bit stressful for an animal to sometimes have that. What could also be very stressful is because we don't always think that way, but animals have emotions and they form bonds. So if you've been living in the same shelter with the same animals for a while, or if you've been in the same pet shop with the same animals for a while, you grow up on the same farm, whatever the case may be, you come from the same breeder, you start to form a bond. You really start to form a bond. And then, look at this, forming a bond with me. So when you just take them away, it's very stressful for them sometimes, and that is why it's so important when you get a new animal that that you give them a lot of love, and it could really help with the transition between animal and pet to actually have an actual Reiki session for them when they first arrive. Um, the Reiki practitioner can even go with you to the store wherever you're getting the animal, to make it easier for the animal that you are welcoming into your life, as well as for the ones that are staying behind, because they don't always understand what is happening you know and if you want to think of it in human terms, you were 10 people living together, forming a beautiful bond, all growing up together. Everything is wonderful, love and light, and suddenly Jack is gone. It's a little bit difficult for Jack, and it's a little bit difficult for all the other 9 Jacks that are staying behind. And also with fish tanks, for example. First of all, one of the things that people often do is that they put too many fish in a tank. And you are not doing these animals any favors, because it's obviously beautiful to have a fish tank with like 10 beautiful fish all swimming around and looking great. But one of the main reasons why, for example, goldfish, because goldfish are usually relatively inexpensive, so people will just buy them, and if they pass away they will say it's fine, I'll just get another one. Or another thing they will do if they feel that that they've got too many fish in the tank, they I've heard of cases where people literally just flush fish down the toilet, live fish. And if we can move from the mindset that it's only an animal, only a fish, to it's an actual living being with a soul, then it changes things for us a lot. And I know I'm getting very passionate about this, but I feel very passionate about this. Um, and yeah, so you can do Reiki for animals, fish especially, because the thing about fish is, especially anybody who's ever watched any of my videos about crystal healing, for example, um, water absorbs energy. We mostly consist of energy, and crystals give out a certain set energy. That's basically how, the 101 of how crystal healing works. But if you have a fish tank in your home, the water really absorbs all your energies. Whether it's good energies, bad energies, you play very loud music. Um, it's just something to think about. Don't just get a tank because you think it's beautiful. And speaking about fish, if I may, please don't keep your fish in fish bowls. It is cruel, because there's nowhere for them to find. It's like you living in a tiny glass house. There's nowhere for you to turn to. There's nowhere for you to rest. You are completely at the mercy of whatever happens around you. Imagine if you were in a space where the sun came up whenever it felt like it. So you have moonlight for 2 hours, and then suddenly the sun is up for 2 hours, and then there's moonlight for 2 hours, and the sun is up for 2 hours, and you've got no say over it. It will be very, very stressful. And that is very stressful for animals. Very, very stressful. Um, it's obviously all fine and well to have a light in your fish tank, but you don't want to leave the light on all night long, because when are the fish supposed to rest? Same as we human beings need certain amounts of care, our animals need certain amount of care as well. Our birds need certain amount of care as well. And so that is really where Animal Reiki does come in. That it helps quite beautifully with really benefiting both yourself and your animals in beautiful ways. And as I said, animals are a lot more open and a lot more susceptible to actual energy than human beings are. And it doesn't really mean that animals are better than human beings. It just really means that animals don't have a lot of the hang-ups that us as human beings have. You know, they just often take it as they get it. They often just take it as, they make the best of any sort of situation, and that is the beautiful thing about animals. And they they bring out the best in us. They often do. And you get a lot of people that won't get along with human beings, but or not that well along with human beings, but they get along beautifully with animals, because the animals can see your beautiful heart, and they can see your beautiful soul, and they can see the truth of who you are. And that is why often when you then opt to have a Reiki session, in person yourself, with the focus being for your pet, then when you come home, they see, oh, look at mommy, look at dad, or brother, sister, friend, however they look at you. Um, you are so much lighter, your aura is just shining, your chakras are all balanced, your energy centers being your chakras are all balanced, and you are doing good. And it makes them feel good, because they go like, yay, we're doing a good job, our, our human friends are doing well. And when the human friends are doing well, then the animal friends are doing well, because they want you to do well. And yeah, so that is just really all that I have to say on Animal Reiki. And if this resonates with you, please like the video, please subscribe. I'll make some more in future. Also, just how you can really be there for your pet. Simple things that you can do in your own capacity to be there for them. Like a very quick simple one, for example, is a lot of times us as human beings will only drink either bottled water or filtered water, because tap water isn't always that healthy. The same thing applies for your animal. Remember, human beings are normally big beings, and an animal can be really small. So, the negative effects of water cleansing, or whatever the chemicals may be that's in there, will hit them even harder. Um, Sometimes from the goodness of our hearts, we give them scraps of our plates, or we go out to a restaurant, and maybe you order yourself a steak or something like that, and you bring back the bone for the dog, or a piece of meat for the dog. Like, the spices that are on there are already not good for you. But it's usually even worse for them. So maybe you just want to, like, boil it a little bit, or even if you get your dog's raw bones from the butcher or something like that, you just want to boil it a bit first before you just kind of give it to them. And even take them for regular vet visits, even if it's just once a year, to find out, is this animal actually okay? And just in closing, if I may, if you have a specific, animal, especially with dogs, um, Google or join groups how to best take care of them. What do they prefer? Like, for example, these two babies over here, they are Cocker Spaniels. They need a lot of attention. They love attention. They're actually needy by nature. That's just how they are. Um, so if you're going to get that sort of dog, if you have a choice in the matter, then they are animals that want attention. They really just want attention. If you maybe want an animal that is more kind of like on its own mission, they don't really care too much, all about this love and light business, and it's kind of like doing its own trip in the world, then, for example, you want to get yourself a husky, because they on a trip of their own. I had a beautiful husky named Mike before, and um, wonderful, wonderful dog. But he wasn't all that little. I mean, he just came to you when he wanted something. That's how they more are. And then if you kind of want maybe one of those in betweens, where who's going to give you love, but it's also going to kind of be on their own mission, who's a lot like humans actually. So maybe if you kind of want a dog who's going to be like a human, maybe you want to get yourself a golden retriever. So it's really, and the same thing goes for cats. The same thing goes for birds. And speaking of birds, please, people, please, 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 I'm really appealing to you. First of all, don't keep your birds in tiny cages. You don't want to be in it. Imagine being locked up in the bathroom all day long, and you're getting attention whenever anybody feels it's okay for you. And if you're gonna get a bird, because remember, birds are animals, they've got wings, they want to fly. Um, but if you're gonna keep a bird in a cage, keep at least two, at least. So at least they have a like-minded friend who's the same as them, that kind of understand them, and they can kind of mission together in this world. You know, um, when you take, I always get, and I know some people might not like it when I say this, but I take, for example, when you get parrots, especially African grey parrots. African greys live in large groups. They live in the Amazon areas. They are just out there. They are free. They are doing their thing. They are not having any humans around, and they're like baboons. They live happily and freely, doing their thing. And then you want to take one animal and put it in a little cage, and and then just kind of keep it there. That's why it becomes very sad sometimes. But in the same token, if you're going to get one, and if you are only going to get one, give it a lot of love, give it a lot of freedom. Actually know what you're getting yourself into, because a lot of times you will see these birds are shedding feathers, and things like that. It's because they are depressed, because they are unhappy. Um, and I mean, even speaking about dogs, for example, like huskies, even though they mission on their own, you still need to take them for a walk every single day. So you must know, if you're going to get yourself a husky, for example, you must take them for a walk. It's just that. If you're going to keep them somewhere locked away on their own, they're literally going to get depressed, and they're going to die from depression. That's what's going to happen. So yes, I'm not saying don't keep animals. But if I may appeal, if you also want to get an animal, there are thousands and thousands of animals that can be rescued. I know it can be a bit of a mission sometimes to rescue an animal, but if you really want to rescue one and you want to jump through the hoops, sometimes also when you actually go and volunteer at a animal rescue place, then the people get to know you, because they just really want to know that you're going to take good care of the animals. So if you're going to go and rescue, you can do so much good for the world. And in the same sense, you can see which animals you are bonding with, instead of just going there and grabbing an animal. Molly likes a tummy rub. So instead of just going in there and grabbing an animal, you can see which animals you bond with. You can speak with the carers. You can see where they're coming from, and just that. In a sense, You are helping the global consciousness. You are helping yourself. You are helping those animals, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. It really is. If you wanna do something beautiful for the animals, maybe sponsor a Reiki session for the shelter, or for the pet shop, or whatever. And I mean, I'm not selling this. I'm not saying that you must use me. You can use any other practitioner. But it's something that really helps the animals, that really helps the global consciousness, and that really helps the world. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Adrian H, son of Ancient Great Life. I am a holistic wellness practitioner. I'm a Reiki master, crystal healer, angel healer, tarot, oracle, and crystal reader, NLP and metaphysical life coach, as well as a regression hypnotist. All the best, love and light. Namaste. Bye.